use the Ashkenazi pronunciation in prayer. No longer in speech. They've all adopted. You go to Satmar Hasidim, they speak a very fine modern Hebrew, even though they don't like the state of Israel. But in the prayer, they still use that form. So if you notice those differences, that's retaining the Ashkenazi pronunciation. Okay, now we come to the fun part. The fun part. As I said, we are now into we are into Tu B'Av. So Tu B'Av, let's pull it up. I'll tell you all about it. Give me 1 second. All about Tu B'Av, everything you wanted to know about Tu B'Av. I'm going to give it to you right now. Here we go. So what is this holiday that nobody knows about and nobody's really known about for the past probably 1,800 years since it was last celebrated? Now you'd have to go back, the year 70 would be the last time. So deduct 70 from 2010, you do the math. 1900, whatever. So it turns out that at one time was the happiest day of the year. And as you can see here, I have an excerpt from the Mishnah and the Talmud that talks about it. I'll expand the page a little bit more so you can see it more. See it better? Let's see, there we go. Okay. And here. And so I have a selection of readings and music for you. So we go back, at least we know to the time when the temple still stood. And here's this our Simon. Now you see our rabbi, in this case is Rabban, Shimon ben Gamliel. That title is only when the temple still stands. Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel said, there were never in Israel greater days of joy than the 15th of Av and the Day of Atonement. Notice he says there were never. So it's already at the end of this period. When the temple is destroyed, they're no longer doing it. He's reminding us of it. On these days, the daughters of Jerusalem used to walk out in white garments, which they borrowed, in order not to put to shame anyone who had none. All right? So you had finest dress, you wouldn't put it on. You would borrow from your neighbor. Now, your neighbor would not give you her best dress. You would give her a second best dress. And you would lend your neighbor your second best dress, right? So everybody was going out nice, but not to outshine, right? A little bit of proportionality. And all the garments required ritual dipping, right? They all had to be pure. Everybody should be in a sense of purity. And the daughters of Jerusalem came out and danced in the vineyards and exclaimed at the same time, young man, lift up your eyes and see what you choose for yourself. Do not set your eyes on beauty, but set your eyes on family, yichus, right? Jews are always married for yichus, right? Who are you related to? Who are you descended from? How much is that worth in the wedding? How much is that worth in the dowry? Okay? That's how Jews marry. Grace is deceitful and beauty is vain. That's from the Proverbs about the Eshet Chayil, the woman of valor. But a woman that feareth the Lord, she shall be praised. Right? What we're looking for is a God-fearing woman, giver of the fruit of her hands, let her works praise her in the gates. Right? So these were pious women coming out. Look for the nobility of the family. Look for the piety of the woman. But then the Talmud comes in. And like all these, but we have this all very noble. Then it continues and says, well, those who came of noble families. Well, what did they really sing? Our rabbis thought the beautiful ones said, set your eyes on beauty, al yofi. For the quality praised in a woman is beauty. Wait, what happened to this Hevel Yofi about beauty is vain? No, we're real women. We're really talking about what do we think we want to show to the men? What do we think the men are really going to use when they pick us? Okay. But those who came of noble families called out and said, look to a good family, because the woman's prepared to bring up a family. Okay. History of the family. Look at my family. That's what you're going to have for your children. Okay. So, eye candy or the quality of your children? What are you going to pick? Which one? All right? They're putting them out there for the guys. Then, the ugly ones. Hey, not everybody is famous. Not everybody is wealthy. Not everybody's a celebrity. Not everybody's beautiful. They said, carry off your purchase for the sake of heaven. You're going to do it because you're doing a mitzvah. But Tatruni bezuvim, adorn it with jewels of gold. So some of the rabbis looked and said, well, what kind of a point is that to get a guy to choose you? So they say, I may not look nice but it's only because I'm poor. If you dress me with jewelry, you suddenly discover that I'm very beautiful. Take care of me. You'll have a wonderful wife. You won't worry about me running off with somebody else because nobody's going to take me. And you won't worry about having to feed me and care for me because I'm so wealthy that I'm used to it. You're going to get a wife. And if you make me dress me well, make me look good, you'll be very happy, right? So that's the explanation, right? So that is the story. So where does it go back? Right? Nothing's changed in human history. That's how it is. It was still much the same. The rabbis asked the question, where did this come from? And they note that really the very first record of a woman's dance on a religious festival is actually in the book of Judges, where the women go out to dance during a festival. They actually go out into the fields to dance, just as described here. So that's 1,000 years before the destruction of that second temple, even more time than that. And they go back to a time, they say, when the tribe of Benjamin had been kicked out of the community of the tribes, basically, because there had been a terrible rape of a woman in one of the towns of Benjamin. And as a result, the tribe swore they would never marry marry the daughters of the tribes of Benjamin. And so they saw the tribe of Benjamin was dying off, and they said, how can we get around it? And they took this festival day, it said, and went in while the girls were dancing, and then the men took them off. They said, the oath is no longer an oath, and we may marry again among the tribes of the tribe of Benjamin. So they said that became the basis for Tu B'Av. That's one explanation. The other explanation goes back to the daughters of Zelophehad, who were told they could inherit the land, but they couldn't marry outside the tribes. And the rabbis go on and say, but rabbinic edicts actually finally would redress that and said, no, it's only in their generation, next generation, they can marry whoever they want. And that day that they said you can marry whoever you want, that was the festival day. So, okay, two very ancient sources to explain that day. So now, here's a story. Where does love poetry begin? It begins really in the story of Adam and Eve, right? Adam is very lonely. God puts him to sleep, he wakes up, there's a woman in front of him, and it says, he looks at this woman, says, bone of my bones, flesh of my flesh, and then the description is, a man abandons his father and mother. Not that a woman abandons her parents to go to the man, it's the man abandons his parents in order to cling to his woman and become one flesh. Right? This sense that the two parties are looking and longing for each other, coming back to the foundation of human existence. There is a joke someone once told me, which says that Eve would never let Adam sleep at night. And why? She would always be counting his ribs and make sure there wasn't any missing rib. It's in case he was cheating on her. That's the joke. Okay.
Another rib.
Another rib. Right, missing another rib. Okay. So now we move forward. What other story do we have in the Bible that's romantic? The story of Jacob, right? He goes, he sees Rachel at the well. He moves away the big stone that all the shepherds combined couldn't move aside. And then ends up, marries her sister by mistake. And then he ends up slaving for 14 years under his father-in-law. So in the clear biblical account, it is Rachel whom he loves. And the other, Leah, has weak eyes. Leah meaning a reference to weak eyes. To maybe cross-eyed, maybe something not nice eyes, something like that. But the Israeli songwriter Tzvika picked the one who created the Shema that we like to sing, that melody, wrote this version. I just thought it's such a lovely twist that is appropriate for it to Ba'av, where he looks at Leah as the secret love object of Jacob. Because after these years, he's come to love her as much as Rachel. And so I've got the words up here. He says, that morning I won't forget when you hid your head in the pillow. The sunlight rested on the tent and my head is with my drunkenness. And I whispered her name in your ear. You grabbed my hands in your cold hand and one warm tear fell into my palms. Behold, many days passed, my hands grew tight and how beautiful your eyes, like Rachel's eyes, right? With her eyes really are just as beautiful as Rachel's. I love you, Leah. Love you proudly. If I forget you, Leah, my name isn't Israel. All right? Beautiful, beautiful twist on the biblical story. So I'm going to play it for you, and I'll have the words up in front of you. You can follow it as we hear the words of Svika Pik. Oh, no, there we go. Go back here. And there we go, yeah. All right, let's do this to me. Hold on. Hold on, this is not there. I'm sorry. Always playing stuff. There he is. Okay.
את אותו הבוקר לא אשכח כשטמנת ראשך בתוך הקר אור השמש על האוהל נח וראשי הלום שיכר כשלחשתי באוזנך את שמה את ידיי אספת ביד קרה ודמעה אחת חמה אל כפות ידיי נשרה הנה ימים רבים חלפו ושתי ידיי עייפו ועינייך מה יפו כעיני רחל אני אוהב אותך לאט אוהב אותך גאה אם אשכח אותך לאט שמי לא ישראל מר ליבך על אחותך הן בנייך לצידך יושבים אל תפני אישה את מבטך כל חלומותיי קרובים מה בקשתך אמרי לאט 7 השנים חלפו מזמן ונותרה רק עוד שעה טרם ייסגר הגן הנה ימים רבים חלפו ושתי ידיי עייפו ועינייך מה יפו כעיני רחל אני אוהב אותך לאט אוהב אותך גאה אם אשכח אותך לאט שמי לא ישראל
Okay. So the retelling of the story of Rachel and Leah from a completely different perspective, right? Imagining that Jacob is not hard and cold, but and you sense some of it in the story somewhere. There are hints here and there that he's not really cold towards Leah, cares for her as well. We have to rectify history. Well, where else can we get a biblical account of love? It's Song of Songs, Shir HaShirim. It's read as an allegory of love between God and the people of Israel. That's how the rabbis put it into the collection of books of the Bible. And that's why the Christian church also kept it in their text with the same idea, where it's God and the church, as opposed to the people of Israel. But it became fodder for so many love songs in modern times, especially with the rise of the state of Israel and the revival of looking to ancient Jewish sources and apply them to a modern land. So this is going back 1960. Rika Zarai performed this one in France. And I assume it was on French TV because Israel had no TV in those days. Ben Gurion was militantly against TV, said it would make us dumb. He lost out eventually, but he tried as long as he could. So the words in here were made up from amalgamation of different phrases in Song of Songs. So, for example, it starts out, Dodi li vani lo, hare b'shoshanim, my beloved is mine, I am his who browses among the lilies. And for some reason, when she sings it, she does ani haro'a b'shoshanim. So it's him singing to she the shepherd, or she the shepherd singing to him. It's hard then to see that change. But then, Mizot olam min hamedbar, who is that comes out of the wilderness? Skips a few verses, goes mikuteret mor ulivana, who is covered in the incense and myrrh and frankincense. And then the words libaftini achoti kala, you have become my heart, my bride, my sister. Libaftini achoti kala. And then arise the north wind and come the south wind. And again, as I say, the phrase is taken out of the sentence. If you see what I have up here, you can see that breakdown where I have. But let's go and listen to Rika Zarai sing in France, going back 1960. Okay. Another source for love and romance in the rabbinic period would be that of the scholar Rabbi Akiva, one of the great love stories. We don't know the exact details, but as it has come to us in the Talmud, we have this version of the daughter of the billionaire who falls in love with a simple shepherd. She is Rachel and he is Akiva. And the Talmud records how this simple shepherd, encouraged by his wife's dedication, became the chief of the scholars of his day, Rabbi Akiva. And in the story, her father is known as Kalba Savua. So any of you that know a little Hebrew, or Kalba Savua is an Aramaic version of Kelev, dog, Saveh, full. Now, how do you get the name full dog, a fat dog, well-fed dog? So the rabbi said, it's whenever people would come to his table, because it would feed thousands of people. Talmud talks about him feeding the city of Jerusalem during the war against the Romans. So say you would come to his house hungry as a dog, Kelev, Kalba, and walk away well-stuffed, Savua, right? So that's his name, so wealthy that you would eat at his table and come away well-stuffed. Hungry as a dog and walk away well-stuffed. So here is the version. Rivka Zar is the singer, and Rabbi Akiva, and the song follows the Talmudic story fairly well. Rabbi Akiva, a humble man, shepherd among the shepherds, the herds of Kalba Savua, he kept till he was in his 40th year. And then Rachel saw him, the daughter of Kalba Savua, and that he is excellent and modest, and she tells him secretly, take me for a wife, provided you devote your time for the study of the Holy Torah. And they're living in the hayloft, in some threshing floor, and one simple couple without a name were excellent and modest. In the morning, he would gather the hay from her hair and look at her and say, Rachel, be my love, great. And Rachel told him, be my love, great in Torah. Great in Torah. Simon, you have something? Want to add? Okay. So then the rabbi, the story goes, went up to the capital to swallow in the Torah. To swallow the Torah is drinking from a well, and she remained there on the threshing floor. And at the end of 20 years, when her hair had turned white, her husband returned home. He is great in Torah. He returns to his home. And his whole song longed. The rabbi returned to his wife, daughter of Kalba Savua, and she was repulsed by his disciples. She was told, move away, woman, said the rabbi, leave her, because she is my holy Torah, Torah HaKedosha. Those are the words of the song. I'll keep the words up for you as we hear the song by Rivka Zohar with a little bit of artistic background.
רבי עקיבא איש צנוע, היה רואה בין הרועים את עדרי כלבה שבוע עד שנתו 40. ראתה אותו רחל, ביתו של כלבה שבוע, ראתה אותו רחל שהוא מעולה וצנוע, אמרה לו רחל בחשאי, קח אותי לאישה, בתנאי שתקדיש זמנך ללימוד התורה הקדושה. רבי עקיבא איש צנוע, היה רואה בין הרועים את עדרי כלבה שבוע עד שנתו 40, והיו גרים במתבן בגורן אחד לא ידוע, זוג אחד פשוט ללא שם שהיה מעולה וצנוע, ובבוקר היה מלקט התבן מתוך שערה, אמרה לו רחל תהיה אהובי גדול בתורה. רבי עקיבא איש צנוע, היה רואה בין הרועים את עדרי כלבה שבוע עד שנתו 40. קם הרב ונסע לבירה לגמוע תורה כמבוע, ושם בגורן נשארה ביתו של כלבה שבוע, ומקץ 20 שנה כאשר הלבין שערה, שב בעלה לביתו והוא גדול בתורה. רבי עקיבא איש צנוע, היה רואה בין הרועים את עדרי כלבה שבוע עד שנתו 40 חזר הרב לביתו וכל נפשו געגוע חזר הרב אל אשתו ביתו של כלב שבוע הדפוה משם תלמידיו אמרו לסור אישה אמר הרב הניחוה כי היא תורתי הקדושה איש צנוע היה רואה בין הרועים את עדרי כלבה שבוע עד שנתו 40 לה 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 לה.
Okay. Just want to know, I have a note here that Simon mentioned they didn't hear the sound. Are you hearing the sound all right? Do you hear the sound all right? Just let me know.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. All right. So everybody, just make sure the volume is up on your own systems. Then. Okay. Next one. Next week, and the next 2 weeks, or next 4 weeks, we're going to talk about different Jewish communities. So in 2 weeks, we have someone speaking on the Sephardic Jews of the Balkans. So Romancero collections of love songs in medieval Spain, and it remains as such collection of love songs in Ladino also. So this one, La Rosa en Florece, the rose flower in May is blooming. And then it talks about the nightingale singing songs of love. And over again, it says, sufriendo de amor, it suffers from love. It's dying of love, right? Sufriendo de amor, morir, and I ask myself, how come if people is dying of love, why do they want it so much? Romeo and Juliet, what do they want, right? That's the classic medieval, that's the classic medieval love theme throughout Europe. And it's in this Ladino ballad, La Rosa en Florece. So those of you Spanish, Marcelo, you can read it to yourself in the Spanish, or it's Ladino, but it's close enough. And the rose flowers in May, my soul dims, it suffers from love. It suffers from love. Nightingales sing and sigh of love. And the passion kills me. My pain increases. My pain increases. Come more quickly, my dove. More quickly to me, more quickly to you, my soul, because I feel myself dying. I feel myself dying. The rose flowers in May. My soul dims. It suffers from love. It suffers from love. It suffers from love. Sufriendo de amor. So here, and in 2 weeks, we're going to have Arthur Ben-Benisti talking
Los bilibilicos cantan, suspiran del amor y la pasión me mata, muchigo a mi dolor y la pasión me mata, muchigo a mi dolor. mas presto ven paloma ven, mas presto ven a mí, mas presto tú mi alma, que yo me voy a morir, mas presto tú mi alma, que yo me voy a morir.
Okay. Marcella, I think that's close enough to Spanish that it's easy to follow. All right? I think so. It's
Not
still-
necessarily. Not necessarily. This is all Spanish. It would be the same as, let's say, all the English, Shakespeare in English, and today English.
So you can sense the difference then? The structure.
I can understand part of it, but not full.
Uh-huh. Very interesting. Very interesting. All right, so that's like Yiddish is to German. Also, the core being a medieval German, the core here being a medieval Spanish, and maybe some things from Portuguese also in it, and some of the terms. Well, let's be fair. All right, we also have Yiddish speakers here. Joe, this one's for you. Who else follows some Yiddish? Margaritkalach, Little Daisies. It's Theodor Bickel singing this realm, right? Because romance was not just in Hispania, it was also in the shtetl, right? There was also tra-la-la-la in the shtetl, and that's the story. So, in Waldo beim Teichel, dort seien gewachsen Margaritkalach, Ilent und Klein, all right? And so, in simple English, I've got the words here. Deep in the woods there grow daisies in small and hidden with stems so pale and petals white, so white, tra-la-la-la, right? For the imagination. Little Chava wanders about as in a dream, her golden blonde braids undone, moving about and seeking and murmurs in thought a little song, tra-la-la-la. What is a good Yiddish maidel from the shtetl doing wandering in the fields? They're not supposed to do that, I thought. A good-looking young man comes upon her eyes. His eyes are black as coal, and there's a twinkle in his eyes, and gaily he answers her little song, tra-la-la-la. Tell me, my young girl, what have you lost? What might you find in these woods? I'm looking for daisies. Chavala blushes. She blushes, so tra-la-la-la. You are seeking my maiden, yet I have found the most beautiful daisy of all, a daisy with braids and jewels for eyes, such eyes, tra-la-la-la. Oh, tell me, my maiden, if one may stroke you, or if you will go hand in hand, maybe one may kiss you, or maybe embrace you, or perhaps even tra-la-la-la. Wait a minute. Matonisht. We don't do that sort of thing. I thought we didn't do that in the shtetl. Let me go, I must not. My mother says I must not. Matonisht. She's angry, my mother, and old. I'm not like those modern mothers. Who's mama? What mother? What mother? Nothing but young trees here. Tra-la-la-la. You love me? I love you. You're shy. I'm shy. Love you then shyly and hush. And look how the golden locks mix with the dark black, pitch black ones. Tra-la-la-la. The sun is long gone. The young man gone too. Still the girl sits alone in the woods. Her looks dream afar, and she murmurs in thought the little song, tra-la-la-la. Okay, she's lost in her thoughts and in her brooding over what has just happened. Is she waiting for him to let down? Is she hopeful that he's coming back? Tra-la-la-la.
Dort unten im Well, dort sind gewachsen Margaritkalach, elend und klein. Mit weißinke Siemen, mit weißinke Strahlen, mit weißinke Tralala. Gegangen ist Havle, verhollend, versuchen, zu losen die goldblonde Zepp. Gegangen sich suchen, die Murmel versunken, das Lied alle Tralala. Es kommt ihr entgegen, a Bocher Schlanker, mit Augen so schwarz wie Keul. Glanzt mir die Augen und vertiert lustig das Lied alle Tralalala. mein Mädel, was hast du verloren? Was willst du gefunden im Wald? Ich such Margaritkes, verreutelt sich Habe, verreutelt sich Tralalala. Du suchst noch mein Mädel, ich hab da schon gefunden, die schönste Margaritke im Wald. A Margaritke mit Zepp und mit Eigen Saphiren, mit Eigerlach, Tralalala. Da sag mir mein Mädel, zum Weg men dir glätten, zum Weg men dir nehmen Bananen, zum Weg men dir kuschen, zum Weg men dir helsen, zum Weg men dir Tralalala. Oh, lass mich mit Tornit, die Mame sagt mit Tornit, die Mame ist alt und ist beis. Wer Mame, was Mame, da sind nur Jungitschke, Weimelach, Tralalala. Du liebst mich, ich lieb dich. Du schämst dich, ich schäm dich. Du lieb mich und schäm sich und schweig. Und seh, wie es mischen sich goldblonde Locken mit Pechene, Tralalala. Die Sonne ist vergangen, der Bocher verschwunden und Chave sitzt allein noch im Wald. Sie guckt von der Weiden und murmelt versunken das Lied alle, Tralalala.
Love, longing, even in the shtetl. You couldn't suppress it. You could direct it. That was always the hope, to direct it to creating a family. That was always the hope they were looking for. Well, this one, last one, Isaac Norman, are you there? I hope you're on, because this one's for you. Next week, we're going to have our guest speaker. It is Dr. Nahid Pirnazar, or Oberman. She was a member here at Hollywood Temple Bethel many years ago, and still was coming to the services when the Iranian community had it here. And she will be our guest speaker next week about the Jews of Iran. And so here's a song, last one, we're going to conclude with this one, in that theme, and this is by an Israeli singer known as Rita. And she usually goes just by that name, Rita. Her family name is Yahan Faruz. She was also known as Rita Kleinstein for a while, and then she separated from the Israeli songwriter Rami Kleinstein. And in the last years, she wanted to look back at her roots from her native Farsi upbringings, and she didn't know that she would become one of Iran's most popular singers today, underground, illegally, of course, because it's illegal to listen to anything from Israel. So she did this release of this song, Shaneh, back in 2011, and it was taken from traditional Persian folk music. And in Iran, it became a hit. People were sending her emails all over and writing on her Facebook page. And they were downloading bootleg copies of her albums. As I say, it's illegal to have this in Iran. They were bootlegging it. And outside of Iran, exiles, Iranian exiles, non-Jewish exiles, were also flooding her sites with messages of support. Of course, the Iranian government called her music a plot to win over the hearts and minds of Iranians and turn them against the government, and part of Israel's soft war against Iran. Okay, so here is the song, and it is looking at the hairs of one's head. Rough translation: within your hair, don't comb so much, for in each of your head's hairs, my heart has settled. Unknot your hairs and ease yourself, my pretty one, until your hair will be untangled. My wild heart will be entangled, for my heart is in your locks, has built there his nest. And each time you comb your hairs, each time the comb teeth scatter your hairs, my heart wounds within your locks. Don't comb your hair, for I see everyone's heart bleeds from each stroke of the comb. Okay, so this will be the last one in the series. It is, as I say, taking a Persian folk melody, but it's been adopted for the modern contemporary audience.
زنی هر دم شانه مجروح گردم که زنی هر دم شانه دل دمویم دارد خانه مجروح گردم که زنی هر دم شانه مجروح گردم که زنی هر دم شانه در حلقه مویم مست رسیده بینم خونین دل اینو سر هر دندانه
Okay, so that's it. We've got something for all the Jewish communities around the world.
Very subversive.
Huh?
Very subversive.
That's it. The Protocols of the Elders of Zion have as one of the techniques the Jews have that they send beautiful women in to capture the hearts of government officials. So that Rita is doing it with music. What can I tell you? That's their take on the world. Okay, so.
I'll do it.
Yeah, Dr. Norman, can you hear? Are you able to hear? Is it a realistic sounding song or is it too much of a modern pop version? Okay. All right. We're going to put aside our Tu B'Av on this side and come back to our formal service, wrap up our service, and go to Enke Eloheinu. And I thought, or go back to the Chazan in Jalisco. There we go. Sing Enke Eloheinu for us. Estilo Breslav. Estilo Breslav.
אדוננו, מכמלכנו, מכמושיענו.
Now let's conclude with Aleinu. We're going to wrap up our, let's see. Okay. All right, very good. We're going to wrap up with Aleinu. Together, Aleinu the Shabbat Lado on La take it all say Breshit Shelo Sanage Haratzot Velo Saranut Mishpachot Adama Shelo Samchekenu Kahem Begor Aleinu Kechol Avodam Anachnu Korim Umishtachavim Umodim Lifnei Melech Malchei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu She'unatei Shamayim v'yosed haaretz Moshe Mikaro B'Shamayim Imal U'Shchinatu Zo Megavei Merokim U'Eloheinu Ein Od Ememakenu Emezilato Kakatu B'Torato Yadata Yom V'Hashemota Elevavecha Ki Adonai Elohim Hashamayim Imal V'al haaretz V'tachat Ein Od. And the last line, which is not in here, Ne'emar v'Imach HaKoretz, Ne'emar v'Chaya Adonai Le'melech ha'Haaretz Bayom Ha'u Yeh Adonai Echad U'Shemo Echad. That we recall, Harry Keel passed away this just 2 weeks ago, and those who are commemorating yard sites, we recall Golda Top Kreeman, Shabbat Yosef Lerner, and Tamara Bremen. May the memories be for a blessing. May the souls be bound up in the bond of eternal life, and may the mourners find comfort in their memory. And we recite the Kaddish, Yitkadal, V'yitkadash Shemei Rabbah, V'amad Yivrach Hirutei, V'yamlich Malchutei, B'chayechon, V'yamechon, V'chayei D'chol Beit Yisrael, B'agal B'zman Karivim Amen, Yehei Shmei Rabbah Borach, Le'olam U'me'amaya, Yibarach, V'yishtabach, V'yitpa'ar, V'yitramah, V'yitnasei, V'yitadar, V'yitaleh, V'yithalal Shemei V'kudsha, B'richu, Le'elah, Min Kol Birchata, V'shirata, Tushbechata, V'nechamata, Lamiron B'chama, V'imru Amen. Yehei Shlomo Rabba Min Shemaya, V'chayim Tovim Aleinu V'koiseh B'yamein, Oseh Shalom B'imramav, Uyaseh Shalom Aleinu V'koiseh B'imru Amen. He makes peace in the heavens above, grant peace to us and to all Israel, and let us all say Amen.
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 And we're going to wrap up our service now with Adon Olam. And this is one that I found I played this one a few weeks ago. It was the
אדון עולם, אשר מלך, בטרם כל יציר נברא, לעת נשא, בחפצו כל, אזי מלך שמו נקרא. אדון עולם, אשר מלך, בטרם כל יציר נברא, לעת נשא, בחפצו כל, אזי מלך שמו נקרא. ואחרי כתות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא והוא היה ועובד והוא יהיה לתפארה אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא לעת נשא בחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא והוא אחד בין שני והמשילו והכפירה ולראשית ולתחתית זו האור הביסה אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא לעת נשא בחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא והוא אלי וחי גואלי וצור חבלי וצרה והוא ניסי ומנוס לי מנת כוסי ביום אקרא אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא לעת נשא בחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא בידו הפקיד רוחי ותשאר ועין ירא ועם רוחי גביעתי עד אשר לי ולא
Okay. All right. So
Who was that again?
that was the Tzahal. That was the chief cantor of the Israeli Defense Forces, Shai
I was just about to ask that.
Yeah, I had a few weeks
I
ago.
need that link.
Yeah, I'll let you have it. Yeah. He's got a beautiful voice, and he's got a style and presence that's very nice. It really works out nicely. So I'm going to close down our pages here.
Rabbi, could you post? Rabbi, could you post some of the links for the music?
Oh, you know what? I give you a list. Yeah, you can go actually on YouTube, and what I do is during the week I will have all these things up on my YouTube. I'll try to get you those.
Is your music, is this music group in public or private?
I leave it public.
Okay, I can find it then.
Yeah.
Yeah, sir.
Okay, there we go. I'm going to close these out. So we see our screen here. I want to close this down so you can see Hollywood Temple Bethel, brought to you by. And our Facebook audience here, we wave to you also. You have been joining on, so we wave to you as well. And now I'm going to stop share.
How many were on Facebook?
We always get a good number that come on Facebook afterwards, and it bounces around for a while. So,
Rabbi, we can't hear you.
Can't hear us. Wait a minute. Let's see. Microphone.
Can you talk a little louder?
Oh, that's not. I know where that's coming from, Yoni.
Oh,
louder, Rabbi.
I miss Barbara.
Yeah, she has a problem. She has her problem is when she listens to the service, it goes too fast and she can't keep up. So she just gets lost.
Okay.
Part of her, it's different when she's actually seeing your lips move, Rabbi, but when she's actually hearing it and all of that, it really
on the phone. Yeah. Plus, some people are watching on Facebook. I know it, and they're 20 seconds delay. There's a 20-second delay, so that also can affect it. I'm going to turn off the Facebook stream. Say goodbye to Facebook people, and I'm going to turn off our recording.